let's just make sure the mic is on this time because I filmed this entire intro with no mic on. Here we go. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be getting into the new glowy products that were launched from Dior Beauty. I know I'm a little bit late to the game on this one, but I still wanted to put up the video and share my thoughts and of course share tons and tons of swatches and comparisons. You guys know I like to share a lot of comparisons, so even though I'm late, better late than ever. Let's get into it. So first up, we're going to talk about this. This is the new Dior Forever Glow Star Filter. Now this retails for $55. You get 1 fluid ounce with the product. It comes in a pump and there are 10 shades available in this. Now I only bought 1 shade. I bought shade 3. So that's the shade that I'll be featuring in this video. Now, this is being described as a complexion enhancer that visibly brightens, smooths, and blurs the skin for a complexion that's more radiant than ever. It's a multi-use formula. You can wear it 3 ways. You can wear it before or mix it with your favorite foundation to boost radiance, or you can apply it after foundation to highlight the areas of the face. So this formula is Dior's version of the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, right? This has been like a ride or die for so many of us, and many brands are bringing out their own version of it. In this video, I will be comparing this formula to not only the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, but Tarte has one that's similar. Lisa Eldridge has one that's similar to that, along with e.l.f., the Halo Glow. So those are the products that I will be comparing this new formula from Dior to. Now, along with the Star Filter, they also launched new Glow Maximizers. These retail for $45. You get 11 mils, which is 0.37 ounces. And these come in 6 different shade options. I have the shade Rosy and the shade Peachy here. Now, these are being described as a liquid highlighter that brightens and enhances the complexion for an instant and long-lasting glow. They are available in vibrant and universal colorful shades designed for different skin tones. These are also multi-use. You can use them as a highlighter, blush, bronzer, or eyeshadow. I will also be comparing this new formula to some of the Beauty Light Wands that we have from Charlotte Tilbury. I have a few other brands in my collection, so I will pull them all out and share tons of comparisons of these 2 shades next to other products that we have that might be similar. So that's it for the intro. Let's go ahead and jump into the try-on portion. I'm gonna try on these products, kind of share my thoughts along the way, and then we will go ahead and jump into the swatches and comparisons where I compare the shades that I have next to other products that I have in my collection from different brands, and then I will jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. We are going to start with the Forever Glow Star Filter. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to put on the Forever Glow on one side, and I'm going to put the Charlotte Tilbury on the other, okay? Now for the Charlotte Tilbury, I have shade 4.5, and let me show you on the back of my hand the shade difference. From what I noticed when I swatched them earlier, is shade 4.5 from Charlotte Tilbury is a little bit more on the beige undertone side. The one from Dior has a little bit more of a golden. So that's the Charlotte Tilbury, that's the Dior. As far as shade goes, I think they're very similar, but the one from Dior is a little bit warmer than the Charlotte Tilbury. I feel like the Charlotte Tilbury has a little bit more of that beige undertone, and the Dior is a little more golden. I'm just gonna pump some of this on the back of my hand from Dior and dip into it, and I'm just gonna apply it kind of like a foundation. Okay, so that color is a good color for me. Kind of evens out my complexion. So that is the Dior side, and I used 1 pump, by the way. Let's put the Charlotte Tilbury on this side. I'm gonna pin my hair back. That's one thing I forgot to do. I'm gonna wipe the brush off just on like a towel, and I'm gonna use the same brush to blend in the Charlotte Tilbury side. Okay, this is interesting. I almost felt like the Charlotte Tilbury was a little bit more on the metallic side. Like it had a little bit more of that glow to it than the Dior, but putting them both on, I can't tell a difference. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell a difference. I don't know if it's the shades that I chose to use and compare, but I'm not seeing a difference. Those two shades together, you would never know I was wearing something totally different. I mean, right? I love the Charlotte Tilbury product. It's obviously like one of my absolute favorites. And I don't like to wear it alone because it kind of gives you that Tin Man look to the face. Like it's too shiny almost in a sense. So I really don't wear the Charlotte Tilbury alone. Now, when I tested out the Charlotte Tilbury and the e.l.f., like the Halo Glow filter, I saw a big difference between those two. Number one, I felt like the e.l.f. had a little bit more coverage. It had a little bit more of a base to it, whereas the Charlotte Tilbury was a little bit thinner of a formula, and so you didn't get any coverage. It just kind of blended out and kind of evened out the complexion, but also gave the skin a shine. e.l.f. did that, but it also provided a little bit more coverage than the Charlotte Tilbury. But I'm not seeing a difference between the Dior and the Charlotte Tilbury. Like, I'm just not. And maybe once I put some foundation on, maybe I'll start to see a little bit of a difference between the two products. But right now, I am not seeing it. Like, they look exactly the same on my complexion. Shade 4.5 from Charlotte Tilbury and shade 3 from Dior look exactly the same on me. So let's go ahead and put on some foundation. Let's try that and see what this looks like. Now, currently I am testing out the Christian Louboutin. So I'm gonna go over top of it with this foundation. Okay, again, I can't tell a difference, you guys. I cannot tell a difference between these two products. I'm trying to see a difference. I'm taking my 8 times up close mirror, and I'm just not seeing a difference. All right, so I went ahead and did my brows, put some concealer on. So we're gonna go ahead and move on and try on these two products. I have searched high and low for my Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light ones. I know that I had the peach and the pink gasm, but I just realized that I gave my daughter the peach gasm. You know, I have so much makeup that if she asks to try something or do I have something, I give it to her. I do. I just do. So I do not have the peach gasm. I have a lot of colors from Charlotte Tilbury in the Beauty Light ones. I have the pink gasm sunset. I also have just the regular pink gasm. I have number 2 medium, but I do not have the peach gasm. I apologize for that. So I went ahead and put these two on the back of my hand. So the two shades that I have are Peachy and Rosy. So that's Rosy and that's Peachy. This right here is the pink gasm from Charlotte Tilbury, which those two are very similar. I mean, those shades, boy, they're identical almost. They really are. And then this is the pink gasm sunset. And then this is the pink gasm 2, or 2 pink gasm, I think is 2 medium. I apologize. That's 2 medium. And of course, I'll do better swatches with and without a flash later on. But these are just to kind of show you and give you a little preview. Okay, so I'm going to take the shade Rosy from Dior, and I'm going to put it right here. And I always like to apply these with this brush. This is the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe. It's like a double-sided foundation brush. And I love using this brush to apply products like this. I'm gonna put the pink gasm from Charlotte Tilbury on this side, just to be able to show you guys like the difference between the two formulas. I'm gonna wipe the brush off. Now, because I added a little bit more on this side, I'm gonna add a tiny amount on this side. I'm gonna take Peachy from Dior and put it right here in the center so you guys can see the shades. The Peachy doesn't look like it has a lot of color. Like, I don't know how it's gonna work on my skin. I don't know if it's like gonna show up or not, but I wish I had the Peachgasm to compare them, but I don't. Okay, so on me, Peachy is a little bit more of a highlighted look on me. Like, it gives me the smallest amount of color. If you are in that medium category, this might be a tad bit light for you, but it does add a little bit of glow to the cheek without a lot of color. The Rosy definitely has pigment, and I think it's really pretty. I can't tell the difference between the Charlotte Tilbury and the Dior. Like, they're so similar. I will say though, the packaging is much better in my opinion. I'm adding a little bit more, just trying to make it more even. So this is the Dior side. This is Rosy. And then this is Charlotte Tilbury Pinkgasm. Okay, so I popped back on camera because the one thing that I wanted to do that I didn't do is put this on the high points of my face just to see if it highlights. I mean, I'm already pretty highlighted, but I thought, why not? I'm gonna take a sponge and dip into the formula here on the back of my hand and then pop it over top. Okay, so that does give a pretty glow. A pretty natural glow, but it kind of covered my blush. You guys can see that. I need to put a little bit more blush on because it kind of left me a little mark right there. I'm gonna be glowing like crazy when I get done with this video. A lot of glowy products. But that looks pretty now, all kind of blended in though. My face looks so similar on both sides that I just don't know if anybody would ever notice that I was wearing like totally different products. Once I start like swatching and really getting a feel for these products, I'm hoping I can find some differences between them because on the face, I'm not seeing a lot of differences. So let's go ahead and jump into the swatches. I'm gonna swatch all these products and I will jump into my final thoughts. All right, so I am back. I do hope that those swatches and comparisons were helpful. Let's jump into my final thoughts. I'm going to first start with the Glow Star filter. I'm not seeing much of a difference between the one from Dior and the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Falls filter. I'm not seeing like a significant difference between the two products. There are some differences as far as price, right? So This from Dior is $55 for 1 fluid ounce. Charlotte Tilbury is $49 for 1 fluid ounce, so you're saving about $6 there. Charlotte Tilbury has 12 shades available. The Dior has 10. You know, there are some differences in packaging. So for those that don't like the doe foot, because the one from e.l.f. and Charlotte Tilbury both have a doe foot applicator. So if you prefer a pump, then this is like right up your alley. If you love the Hollywood Falls filter and the doe foot has kind of drove you crazy, like you wish it had different packaging, then the one from Dior is a really nice option and alternative to the Hollywood Falls filter that provides a pump versus a doe foot applicator. But at the end of the day, as far as the formula goes, I'm not seeing that much of a difference. I even went outside and really inspected my skin up close, and I just am not seeing that much of a difference between them. I don't feel like there's a significant difference to say you need to run out and grab this. If you have the Hollywood Falls filter and you love it, I don't really feel like it's necessary to run out and grab this. Unless there's a shade option from Dior that Charlotte Tilbury doesn't have, then I would say yes, it would probably be worth it. But I feel like if you like the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Falls filter, then I think you'll really enjoy this from Dior. Now, like I mentioned in the application, there was a difference between the e.l.f. and the Charlotte Tilbury. So I will actually link that video up here in the iCards so you guys can check that out. But the e.l.f. provides a little bit more coverage. It has a little bit more of a base to it than the Charlotte Tilbury. And I felt like the Charlotte Tilbury had a little bit more of it had a little bit more of a metallic shine than the Halo. There was a few differences between these two products. I actually really like the Halo Glow from e.l.f. and I use it consistently. In fact, I actually bought a darker shade and I use it to bronze up the face. It adds a beautiful glowy bronze to the skin. And it's significantly cheaper than the Charlotte Tilbury. But as far as like these two, they're kind of the same. I'm not seeing that much of a difference to justify. If you already have the Hollywood filter, you don't need this one. Now, if you run low on the Hollywood Falls filter and you want to try the one from Dior, then that's totally up to you, right? Let's talk about these glow maximizers. Now, I'm assuming that these are limited edition because on the Dior website, it says that these are limited availability. The star filter is not, it doesn't say limited availability. It just basically said it's new. So I'm assuming that this is going to be a part of their line, but it seems like these are limited edition. And these are really pretty. You know, I like it. I do. I like the formula. I think I would probably use the shade Rosy more than I would Peachy because I feel like Peachy might be a little bit too light for me, but it does add a really pretty shine right here on the cheek. But as far as using it as a blush, I really like the shade Rosy. It's really pretty. Now, how does it compare to Charlotte Tilbury? Again, it goes back to packaging. So I feel like you get the same kind of shine to the skin when you wear the Beauty Light Wand versus these Glow Maximizers. I've heard so many people the last few years talk about how they do not like this like sponge tip applicator. So if you don't like that sponge tip applicator, this doe foot is a nice option. It gives you just enough to put it on and it blends out really beautifully. And I didn't have any problems with it being patchy or anything like that. It's a really nice formula. It is. And I would say it's, again, very similar to the Beauty Light Wands. The only difference that I saw is just the packaging overall. With that said, you do get a little bit more for your money with the Charlotte Tilbury. The Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wands are 12 milliliters. These from Dior are 11, but the Charlotte Tilbury is $42 and these are $45. So again, there's a little bit difference in price, just like with the Hollywood Falls filter and the Star filter, a little bit difference in price, but I feel like you probably won't waste as much by using the doe foot over the sponge. Like for me personally, I feel like I waste this formula because sometimes when I'm putting the lid on, like I will squeeze it into the sponge tip, right? And sometimes you can't help but squeeze a little bit too much, oftentimes. And then when you go to put the lid on, the lid catches it and then it like, you know, so you kind of waste a little bit of it, I think. I don't know that you get full use out of that full 12 milliliters. So something to take note of. This doe foot, you're going to have much more control over how much you use and how much you apply. And there's a difference there as far as packaging goes. But overall, I feel like the formula is the same. I feel like I'm just repeating myself. It's the same. Like, I'm not seeing that much of a difference between these new products from Dior than what we already have from Charlotte Tilbury. So those are my overall thoughts on all of these products. Sound off down below. I know that these have been out for a minute, so for those of you that have bought it, what is your experience? Like, I always say this, you guys have the best information, and your opinion is just as important as anyone else coming behind a camera and sharing their thoughts. So definitely sound off down below in the comments. Like, what is your experience in this Star Glow? Do you agree with me that it's very similar to the Hollywood Falls filter, or do you completely disagree and you've seen some major differences? Your guys' information is so important, especially when it differs from mine. I like having that open dialogue for everyone in the comments to read, whether you agree with me or not. Like, it's super important. So definitely sound off down below. The next video I will be uploading will be all about this new foundation from Christian Louboutin. So be on the look for that. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in today's video. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Love you. Bye.